Hello everybody and welcome back to English for Professionals. I'm Derek and in this lesson I'm going to explain some vocabulary to help you better understand some recent news stories. So if you're interested in what's going on in the world and you want to improve your English, keep watching. So we're going to look at vocabulary and phrases from 4 different news stories. First, we'll take a look at a story about the wildfires in Greece. Then, I'll explain some vocabulary about a story on the Taliban in Afghanistan. After that, we'll look at a story about Instagram and a new tool that they are offering to help hide abusive comments. And the final story we're going to look at is a surprise. Before we look at the first story, I just want to say that the goal of this lesson is not to promote these stories or to express my opinion about these stories. I just want to help you understand the key vocabulary. And now let's get started with the first story. Thousands flee Greek island as wildfires raze forest and homes. Thousands flee Greek island as wildfires raze forest and homes. So there are 2 words in this headline that I want to help you with. The first one is flee, which means to leave a place quickly because it's dangerous. Similar to escape. To leave a place quickly because it's dangerous. And the second word in this headline is raze, which means to completely destroy something, especially buildings, towns, or in this case, forest, to completely destroy something. And now let's take a look at some other words from that story. Firefighters are working hard to tackle the blazes. Firefighters are working hard to tackle the blazes. So to tackle means to deal with a difficult problem. To deal with a difficult problem. And a blaze is a very large and dangerous fire. A very large and dangerous fire. So in other words, firefighters are working hard to deal with the dangerous fires. Wildfires have devastated large areas in southern Europe for a fortnight as the region endures its most extreme heat wave in 3 decades. So to devastate means to completely destroy a place or an area. To completely destroy a place or an area. A fortnight is a period of 2 weeks. A period of 2 weeks. And to endure means to experience and deal with something that is extremely difficult and unpleasant. To experience and deal with something that is extremely difficult and unpleasant. So in other words, wildfires have completely destroyed large areas in southern Europe for 2 weeks as the region experiences its most extreme heat wave in 3 decades. Taliban fighters close in on southern city as Afghanistan army chief is replaced. Taliban close in on southern city as Afghanistan army chief is replaced. So in this headline we have the phrasal verb to close in on. To close in on somebody or something. And that means to move nearer to somebody or something, especially so you can attack them. So to move nearer to somebody or something, especially so you can attack them. Now let's take a look at some other words from this story. The insurgents tightened their grip on this part of the country. The insurgents tightened their grip on this part of the country. So an insurgent is one of a group of people fighting against the government of their own country or against authority. One of a group of people fighting against the government of their own country. And to tighten your grip on something means to control a place or situation more strictly. To control a place or situation more strictly. The Taliban has already seized 9 other provincial capitals around the country. The Taliban has already seized 9 other provincial capitals around the country. So to seize means to take control of a place suddenly and quickly using military force. To take control of a place suddenly and quickly using military force. Instagram offers new tool to help hide abusive comments. Instagram offers new tool to help hide abusive comments. So this sounds like a more positive news story. There have been a lot of stories over the past few years about social media not doing enough to stop people from posting really horrible and nasty comments. So maybe this will help. And the word I want to talk about from this headline is abusive. Abusive, which means using extremely rude or insulting language. So words and phrases that are used to really hurt people's feelings. So abusive, using extremely rude and insulting language. Now let's take a look at some other vocabulary from this story. The changes come after Instagram was criticized for failing to promptly deal with racist abuse aimed at some English football players following the Euro 2020 final. So to criticize means to say what you don't like about somebody or something, or to say what you think is wrong about somebody or something. To say what you don't like about somebody or something, or to say what you think is wrong about somebody or something. And one other interesting word in this sentence, promptly. Promptly. So if you do something promptly, you do it at the right time and without delay. At the right time and without delay. So that last news story does sound more positive, and hopefully that tool that Instagram is offering will really help to hide those comments, or even to scare those nasty people away from posting those kind of comments. And to finish off, let's look at another positive news story. Congo's child miners swap hammers for books. Congo's child miners swap hammers for books. So the word we're going to focus on here is miner. Miner. And that is a person who works in a mine. A person who works in a mine. But what is a mine? Well, a mine is a large hole or tunnel in the ground where things like metal, salt, or coal can be removed. So a mine is a large hole or tunnel in the ground where things like salt, metal, or coal can be removed. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of children around the world who have to work in mines. But some of those children in the Congo now have the chance to go to school instead. It is a small percentage, but it's a positive development. Let's look at some other vocabulary from this story. The Democratic Republic of Congo introduced free primary education in 2019. The Democratic Republic of Congo introduced free primary education in 2019. So primary education is the first stage of formal education. The first stage of formal education. Children usually start their primary education between the ages of 5 and 7, depending on the country they live in. As I said earlier, there are still many children working in mines, but in the town of Kipushi, enrollment in primary school has risen by 75%. So enrollment in primary school in Kipushi has risen by 75%. Enrollment comes from the verb to enroll, which means to join or become a member of something, especially a school or college. To join or become a member of something, especially a school or college. The United Nations has pledged to end child labour by 2025. The United Nations has pledged to end child labour by 2025. So the verb to pledge is another way to say promise. Another way to say promise. And let's hope the United Nations can achieve this very challenging goal. So that brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found it helpful and that you learned something new. The links to all 4 news stories can be found in the description below. If you liked the lesson, please hit the like button and share with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already, and join my email list. Every 2 weeks I send out my free vocabulary email with additional business English, words from the news and everyday English for you to learn. The link is in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon.